He's doing well. Zach Miller, one of my favorite Jags. You guys don't make that list. Brad Meester is on the list. Zach Miller's on the list. We do the segment called Jags Dads, and Zach Miller was one of the first ones to do the segment.
Nice.
How's the family now? How old are those kids?
They're doing great, man. Thank you for asking. Bella is about to be 12 here in February. She has a couple more months. And then Cashin, our middle child, who acts like a middle child, is 10 or 11. Or he's 10. Yeah, he's 10. Sorry. And then our youngest is 4. So we got our hands full with these crazy children of ours.
Absolutely. Well, say hello to your former teammates, Josh Scobee, Austen Lane. Go ahead. You guys can take it away.
What's up,
What's up,
boys?
Josh? Good to see you, man. Well, first of all, I'm saying what's up to Josh Scobee because I haven't seen him in a couple weeks. So good to see you, Josh Scobee. Zach, man, long time no see, though. How is life? How's everything going? You're kind of on a new endeavor, if you will. And I was shocked by it. Did not see that happening. What have you been up to?
Man, I've just been playing music, that's all. Less violent stuff than you're up to. I'll say that. I'm not going in the octagon anytime soon.
Yeah, that's probably a good plan. Zach, it's Josh Scobee.
Sco, what's up, man?
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Good to hear from you.
Hey, I've heard your music, and I'm not only am I impressed, but I'm very jealous because any wife that we get to listen to your music, they're all like, "Oh my gosh, he sings really well and he's good looking." So I need you to stop doing what you're doing.
Well, I can't do that yet, man. I'm just trying to figure this thing out. But I'll tell you, man, I'm having a good time doing it. It wasn't anything that I ever saw myself getting into. I'd always loved music from a young age, and then sports they kind of took precedence growing up. But, fast forwarding through, our time in the NFL and all that stuff, when it all transpired and got finished, I needed something to do. So I took up writing just to kind of clear my head, going through some things at the end of my career, and that's kind of where it led me to. So I still don't know what I'm doing, but I thoroughly enjoy it.
Well, Zach, I have to ask you, how did you get stuck on this genre? Because one of my first interactions with you was when we were working out in the off season, and you were playing the weekend House of Balloons in the weight room because you had dibs on the iPod. I think it was an iPod back then even. So you had dibs on the iPod. You're playing the weekend House of Balloons. Then we always used to have the jokes of we're going to start a Radiohead cover band with me and you. And now we see you kind of branch more into country music. What made you go down that road?
Honestly, I mean, if I wanted to be something, it would have been this like singer-songwriter and blend these genres. And to be honest with you, man, hip-hop and rap are still my favorite. That's still my favorite genre to listen to. It's heavily rooted in who I am. I don't know how. I mean, I grew up in Nebraska, so I don't know where that trickled into my life, but it's just been that way. And then obviously being in locker rooms, you guys know that hip-hop is prevalent in the locker rooms at all times. And when I started writing, I wanted to be like in this singer-songwriter lane. And I think one of the first songs I had written, it hit me. I'm like, damn it, I'm really from Nebraska, and this stuff sounds kind of country. And that's just kind of how it transpired and came out. And now, like, I'm at this stage where it's so early in a I guess musical career, if you would ever call it one. I can bounce around with different genres and figure things out and try and get to a sound where I feel like is going to be really who I am. And so I'm still kind of messing around at that point. But that's how the first two kind of just came out. It was what I was writing at the time and just linked up with the producer in Nashville, and we put together those first two, and away we went.
That's pretty cool. Brent Martineau, Josh Scobee, Austen Lane, joined by former Jags tight end, Chicago Bears tight end, Zach Miller, now doing country music. I'm a country music guy, so I like it. And Casey, let's play a little bit of one of those singles, maybe How You Like Us Now. He's got 2 singles out, I was hoping. I think a third one's coming. We'll ask you about it coming up this weekend. But
yes,
here's a little listen of the How You Like Us Now from Zach Miller.
I was rolling on the back roads, flying where the dust goes, watching the sun sink below them fields. Now I'm sitting under city lights, blown through the stoplights, life looking like a damn highlight reel. I've been around the world, see some things, went from store-bought jewelry to 5-carat custom diamond rings. So how you like us now? And everything's cool down our way. We don't give a damn what y'all say. We're right here doing our own thing.
We're going to play more of this in a little bit, but it gives me chills, man. I mean, that is good stuff.
Crazy, man.
Again,
I
I'm a country guy, so I like that. I'm buying that single. What else is out there? What are you working on? And do you have one coming out later this week? Is that what we hear?
Yeah, I do. I got one coming out December 3rd, so it's coming out this Friday. Just went down to Nashville and recorded that one about a month ago. I got a producer down there. His name's Colt Caparoon, who has been tremendous help in me kind of figure this whole thing out, and he's really good at what he does and being able to put it out, take my ideas and kind of get them, in this linear position where we can put it together into a song. So next one that's coming out is called Torn Up. It's slightly different than the first two that are out in the sense of just the way that it sounds. I told you guys I'm trying to find different sounds and blend these things together. So this one's a little bit different than the first two. So I hope you guys get to like it when it does come out. But that's really it. Hearing that first one, How You Like Us Now, man, that's crazy. I really ain't heard it played, in that sense of me listening to it. I never really like to listen to my own interviews. I don't really like to listen to my own music as well. But it's pretty cool to hear it on the radio. So thank you for playing that for a little bit.
Well, you should be comfortable in your own skin because it sounds amazing. It's kind of, to me, it's like a blend between Sam Hunt and Jason Aldean, like that type of country music. Because I'm not a big country music fan. I mean, even though I grew up in the South listening to country music and whatnot, I was more of a hip hop rap fan, and so but I can hear that in you, and obviously knowing you, I know you like rap music, I know you like hip hop, so I can kind of hear that. So keep doing what you're doing, and I mean it sounds great. So keep rolling with it.
That, man.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, man, regardless of the genre that you find yourself in or whatever the end product's going to be, I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. You can recognize talent. And like that, what we played right there, which I've heard a million times before, I've listened to it a lot, that's talent, man. And that's really cool to see. I wanted to ask you, Zach, because obviously you played ball on the biggest of stages. You're catching touchdowns against the Green Bay Packers when you're playing for the Bears and that big rivalry and everything. But what is that rush like, and how does it compare to playing in the league as opposed to, playing in front of people, sharing your art with people, like at festivals and things? Like, where does that relate to in terms of, I guess, nerves per se, and how anxious that you get?
Yeah, I love that question because it was one of those that I wondered as well. I feel like every musician wants to be in some form of athletics. There's a crossover between sports and music and sports, and I think every athlete, we want to be able to sing and play music and do all that stuff. And I was way more nervous getting ready to play music at a bar in Omaha, Nebraska, in front of like 30 people than I ever was running onto a football field. And I think it was just because there was nowhere to hide. Like we go out on the football field, I got pads on, helmet on. Aside from a blatant in-your-face play that somebody could see you mess up, they don't really know, right? Like, unless a ball bounces off my head or we miss a kick, Scobee, or like.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say, you sound like a kicker right now.
Right. Like, unless that happens, like, not many people will be like, oh, Zach missed that play, right? Yeah. When it's different when you're on stage, and it's just me with the guitar. Like, if I mess up, they're going to hear it all. So I needed to get over that fear of wanting everything to be perfect because it's just music. And that was it took a couple times. And then once I got into it, I was like, all right, I played 4 or 5 gigs. And these are just little small bars. I was like, okay, it's just music. Go up, do your thing, have fun. and then everybody could feel that. So it's just more of kind of relaxing. But I was way more nervous, for the music thing than I was for football.
Zach Miller with us, along with his former teammates Josh Scobee, Austen Lane, and Zach Miller, former Jags tight end, played for the Chicago Bears, now a musician in the country music genre, and maybe even expanding. We'll see, but it sounds good. 2 singles out. Got another one coming out on Friday. And all you have to do, today on iTunes, I just searched Zach Miller, and boom, there they were, and we're playing you a little bit of them. Going to play you some more in just a moment. But, you bring up the football days, and I got to ask you this. One, how's the leg? 2,
yep.
How long did it take you to come to peace with your career being over and how it ended? Because you were playing good football, man. And then the last part of that, and I can ask you again if you forget, but you kind of said the music and the writing was somewhat therapeutic. How much did that help you kind of settle into this second life?
Yep. So, first question, leg's doing okay. I'll tell you, everybody I had around me, from a medical standpoint to a support system, everybody around there, it couldn't have been any better to have the outcome that I had, because there was a lot of stuff that was weighing, and it could have went a complete different route. And thankfully it did not. I still have my leg. I got a lot of residual stuff as far as nerve damage. Don't really have full function of my foot as far as like the dorsiflexion and stuff. I still got a little bit of drop foot. And my leg, it's pretty much numb from like my knee down to sensations. Extreme hot, cold is intensified, but like overall, like I'm blessed to have a leg, and that's a good thing. I've got good days, I got bad days, and that's that. So I'm feel really fortunate to kind of just be in the situation that I am in as far as being able to make it out of that the way that I did. Number 2, coming to terms with how it ended. Listen, man, I don't think anybody wants to be forced out of the game, and probably, most of us aren't really happy when it ends, regardless of the way it does. Very few people get away to walk away on their own, which is awesome. But it took a little bit just to understand, to accept that the injury happened, and that's that, and this is just the way of life, and you can't change it anymore, right? So it took a little bit, but being able to stick around with Chicago the year after I got injured, they let me hang around and still be part of the team, was a huge, I think, factor in helping me in acceptance, if I can put it that way, just to know that they were doing their best to keep me involved in the game and let me figure out if I needed to stick around, if I wanted to stick around. So that was a blessing in itself to do that. And then the third question you asked about the writing to get through it, correct?
Yeah, I did. And sit on that question for a moment, because I want to play this verse, and I think Casey has it set up, and that way you can listen to your song again, because I kind of think it's cool that you haven't done that very often. But I think this is the second verse, and I think this has to do with some of that therapeutic writing. Casey, if you don't mind playing the next part.
Probably never see stage. How do you like me now? How you like me now? And everything's cool round our way. We don't give a damn what y'all say. We're right here doing our own thing. 100 miles an hour, never switching lanes. Don't try to hold us down, but we won't stay. We making rules to the game. You can't play. How you like us now? She paid those bills, we living different now. Got a little house on a hill. Provinville is on an island that can never be. And where I'm from, that's something they say we never see. Kicked up, sipping on a cold drink, watching the sun go down. How you like us now? Cause everything's cool round our way. And we don't give a damn what y'all say. We're right here doing
Let's bring Zach Miller back into it. That's How You Like Us Now is his first single that he released as a musician, and I couldn't help but hear that last verse and think about what I asked you, some of that therapeutic writing. Can you take us through that process? How much of it went into that song?
Man. So here's the thing. When I was going through that recovery, I needed to be someplace else, anywhere than where I was. And for me to start writing and go back and be in some of those places that I was writing about. I have probably, I don't even know, 50, 60 songs that I've written, that I'm going to pick and choose that are going to eventually continue to come out. But what that was for me was just going and escaping to those places. How You Like Us Now was one of those songs where I grew up in a town of 300 people, and Scobee, Austen, like, I don't know, Brent, even for you, like, as a young kid, like, I had crazy dreams of doing things on, like, the biggest stage, football, to be specific, right? And from where I was coming from, not many people believed in those dreams. And that's what that song was about, because regardless of what anybody else thought, and because you grow up in that community and most people think you're crazy, and you got people who don't think you're going to do it. You got a lot of people who maybe there's some jealousy or all the things, and then you got your group of people that are like, I got your back no matter what. And that's what that song was. It was, as much as I went through from a young age through high school through college and the goals that I wanted to do, when stuff didn't work out, you kept pressing, and then it finally all pays off, right? So that song was just about for the people who dream and they don't care about anybody else on the sideline who's saying, oh, he'll never do it, he'll never do this, he'll probably never play, right? That's where that lyric comes from. He'll probably never play, he'll probably never see a stage. Well, at this stage of the game, I've kind of done both of them, and that was the escape for me, and that's how the whole process kind of started, and then it just took off from there because I loved it so much.
Yeah, very well said, man. Pretty cool stuff. I'm going to ask you, you're talking to two guys, by the way, Iola, Scandinavia, Wisconsin, Louisiana guy.
Texas,
how big was your, Texas, how big was your hometown? Like,
it wasn't very big. It was, 90,000 people. But, everything that you were saying in there, Zach, I could feel because, as an athlete, as someone that played in the NFL, we all have those people that are the kind of detractors and people that don't think you're ever going to make it. So it's kind of cool to see you lay that out in lyrics and talk about it. And, as someone that their career didn't end the way they wanted it to with me, it's fun to see you have that outlet, and you need that outlet as an athlete whenever your career is done, because if you don't, then bad things can happen.
Yeah, to me, it's so cool. I get it, man. From your standpoint, I'm sure you feel like you still have a long ways to go in terms of your music career. I feel like you made it already, man, because as far as your songs are concerned,
I love it.
You're absolutely crushing it. But I'm reminded, we had a former teammate of yours as well, Russell Allen, on about a year ago, and we talked about the transition out of the league, because you have to be here at a certain time, you have to do this a certain way, and it's kind of just repetitive since we were kids. And then as we grow to get to the league, you're at the highest level, but you're doing the exact same thing. It's still the same game. And then one day someone's going to tell you either you're too old, or maybe because you're hurt, or you're not good enough anymore, but that game goes away. And everything that was ingrained in your habits and your work and everything, that's gone. And now you're kind of in limbo of what do you do next. And a lot of guys get lost with that. So it is so cool seeing you have this outlet, Zach, where you're obviously crushing it with your music, but it's cool that you found something else, because, the game was taken away from you. Let's not lie. Let's not sugarcoat things. It's not fair what happened to you, but that's life. But it's so cool to see that, you took that moment, that painful moment, those memories, and you turned them into something great. And you're sharing it with people, and you're sharing your story with people. And it's really cool to hear, and it's really cool to talk to you and just, kind of pick your brain about it a little bit.
No, that's awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, Zach Miller's with us. All right, there's a storyteller in me. that this is one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation and bring Zach into it, because it's really interesting listening to you guys it's like behind the music we're going right now. It's like
VH1.
But it's really pretty wild to me is this, and I tweeted this at the start of the segment, and when I shared that you were coming on, I said, when you're a football player, and when we talk the Jags or Chicago and these fan bases and the game that you guys played, you're a football player. I mean, that's it. To fans and to really sometimes the organization, you know, I mean, you don't want to be like, hey, you're just a piece of meat, but you're just a football player.
Oh, yeah.
That's all we kind of say, right?
And that's fine.
And that's okay. You get paid a good amount of money, make a good living, and most of the time it's pretty good. But obviously you're also family men behind that. And now you look at you guys in particular, right? Zach's playing music. Obviously had the devastation of the leg injury. Austin's fighting and doing radio for a living.
Just won a big fight.
Just won a big fight, but also had the devastation of the Greg Hardy fight. You know, went through some of that and had his career end.
Yeah.
Josh, you had the tough time in Pittsburgh when, you know, you had the downside there. And now I know you're still a big-time ambassador, community guy here in Jacksonville.
Golf.
And seriously, golf is a thing. No, it's like, it's a real thing. Like, I mean, so my point being, like, you're more than just football players. And we find that out. And Austin and I talk about this a lot on the show. So how long did it take you to find out you were more than just a football player? I'm just asking all three of you guys, so go around the horn, Josh.
Oh, man, it probably took, I would say, a good year and a half, 2 years or so after my last game, because you go through different, you know, moments of, number one, depression, because your football career is over. Your professional career as what you played is over, and you know it's over. And that's a hard reality to face. So it takes a long time for you to actually get through that. So, number one, you're stressed. Then you try and kind of fake it to where you're like, all right, I feel better. I'm going to go work out every day. And then you don't have a real purpose for what you're working out for. So I had to find something that, like a reason why I was going to the gym every day and trying to get better at something. And I mean, I was playing golf at a high level, competitive level before football had ended. So I made that my goal. Like, I'm going to get better at golf every day, and I'm going to make my purpose every day that I wake up for golf, and obviously my kids and family and all that. But, you know, as a former athlete, you need something else, and, you know, fortunately golf was my outlet.
Yeah, and you just decided to fight people for a living and then found radio.
No, for sure. Well, you know, for me personally.
Which, by the way, Zach, isn't that all he did at practice anyway?
Yeah, really.
Well, here's the crazy thing. I think of all the times I got in a fight, whether it was with Eben Britton, Montel Owens, I never fought Scobee, unfortunately.
Thank goodness.
But I don't think, Zach, did we ever get in a fight? Which is kind of crazy because, I mean, you line up for me all the time, but I think we were too cool with each other when we never ended up getting in a fight.
Too cool with each other for that.
Yeah.
I've been like, you got this one, man. I ain't trying to get knocked out over here.
Can you imagine you getting in a fight now with someone?
Oh, man, I wish. I wish I could go back to the days of Ooch trying to pull my hair and everything in a pile. I wish I could use some moves on him now, but it is what it is, man. Those days are long gone. But to quick answer your question, Brent, thankfully for me, MMA was there even when I was still in Jacksonville because I started training it, and I knew I had that in my back pocket. You know, and when I got to the league, I made a promise to myself that ever stop being fun. If it start feeling like a job, I would walk away. I'd be cool with that because I'd have MMA in my back pocket then eventually. And that's what happened in Chicago. And I'm not sure if Zach knows the story or not, but, you know, when I got cut from the Bears the first time, I got cut twice in one day. They gave me a call, said I got cut. I'm driving to the practice facility in Lake Forest, and they gave me another call saying, we actually made a mistake. You're not cut. And they said, if we don't call you back by 3 o'clock, you're on the team. Well, it's 3:30. I have family in town. We're celebrating at this restaurant, and I get another phone call saying, we actually made a mistake the first time. You are cut. And the reason what happened was they're trying to trade me. The trade fell through, so I get cut twice in one day. That moment stopped being fun for me because then I started to feel like a pawn in a chess game. And I'm like, you know, whatever happens from this, so be it. But I know once I'm done, and MMA is going to be there. So it was an easy transition for me because I had plan B in my pocket.
Zach, sounds like your next country song.
Yeah, no kidding. We might have to sit down and write that one, guys.
He went from fighting for his job to fighting for his job.
Right job.
Yeah.
Boom. I just wrote
There you go.
a lyric right
now
there.
Now I'm fighting for airtime with Brent Martineau, so it's awesome.
That's tough, too. Might be the toughest thing he's
We
ever
got a
had to
bunch of
do.
material to write about.
Zach, you've kind of answered it, but did you always know you were going to do something else? I mean, you talked about growing up small town. Your story's awesome too, by the way. Nebraska, Omaha, quarterback to you're one of the first guys to really transition from quarterback to tight end. Then they tried everybody to do it.
Well, it doesn't have a school to cheer for anymore either. The school's gone.
School's gone.
Well, no, the
they
team's
took
gone.
Football away from Nebraska, Omaha. The schools there, they just don't play football anymore. So that's a whole nother segment we can talk about.
Yeah. So did you never ever just always thought you'd be a football player and then just kind of hang it up?
Nah, so I figured that I would transition into, some form of coaching or scouting or something still involved in the game of football. And that was something that was still on the table after I got injured. And like I told you guys earlier, I stayed that next year and really focused on rehab, but I actually did a lot of, I wouldn't call it coaching, but I did a lot of that stuff behind the scenes. I was cutting up tape for our tight end room. I was making certain packages, blitz packages, coverage packages for our third down and red zone stuff. So I was doing a lot of kind of like the intern work, the quality control work that goes behind the scenes, for a regular football season. And it was partly to see if I enjoyed it and if I wanted to do it. And I do love the game of football. I love what it brings. I love the challenges. But at that point in time for where I was at, mentally and physically, like mentally I still wanted to play the game, right? Physically I couldn't. So it tore me up being there every single day doing the things that I was doing but couldn't physically go out and do that. So it wasn't fulfilling for me at that point. Now, I don't know if there'll be a point where I miss it so much that I want to go back and maybe get into that lane. But right now, I love playing music. Even if my music never was any good and nobody listened to it, I thoroughly enjoy writing and playing music. Regardless if I played it for anybody else, like, it makes me happy. So that was where I got to this level of acceptance kind of as an artist of I'm not really creating music, and I don't want this to ever be like an insensitive thing to say, but I'm never really creating music for anybody else. And I don't think really any artists make music for anybody else except themselves. And then if they put it out and other people love it, then it becomes their music, right? Like if we hear a song and we're like, damn, I love that song, then it kind of becomes all of our songs, right? We all grew up listening to hip hop and like when you heard that, like, damn, did you hear this? Like, that's good. And then it's ours. If we didn't like it, the artist who put it out still loved it enough to put it out to the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's where the level of acceptance for me as an artist is like, listen, if I'm having fun doing this, and this is what I really truly love right now, I'm gonna do it as long as I can until it, like Austen said earlier, till it's not fun anymore.
Well, you're
and
doing
that's
a great job
with this.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, I told you we'd keep you on for 10 or 15 minutes. It's been like a half hour.
We went long.
Hope you didn't have to pick up the kids or go to a practice.
No, that's all good. We got our practice later, so I know we've been pushing it the last, it's probably been a month, maybe longer. You guys have been trying to get me to come on, so I apologize.
Well, there's a reason we wanted you on. It's because it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's great stuff. I mean, I love talking about golf with these guys. Not really, but it's all good. But, Zach, anytime you want to come back on the show, please do, man.
Yeah, man. It was cool just to talk to you guys. It's been too long, so hopefully we get down to Jacksonville here. It's starting to get cold, so maybe Kristen and I will shoot on down to Jacksonville. We can hang out and catch some sun down there.
Come on down and don't hang up just yet, even though we're going to say goodbye. We'll play your other song going to break, but we do want to say thanks for coming on. Good luck with the music career. New song coming out on Friday. Tell everybody how to get it.
Yeah, man. Torn Up. It'll be out Friday, December 3rd. It'll be out everywhere, anywhere you can stream music. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, iTunes. I know, Scobee, the day that we grew up in, maybe you too, Brent, it's out on Napster. It'll be out there on Napster. They still listen to music on that.
Bear Share. Shout to Bear Share.
That's awesome.
We might get prosecuted if we download it.
It's there. It'll be out there for anybody to listen to. So if you guys like it, please stream it. That'd be cool. I'd love that.
All right. How You Like Us Now is awesome. We're going to play I Was Hoping in just a moment, and Torn Up coming out on Friday. Zach Miller, say hello to the family, man. Thanks for taking some time for us, and have a good, happy holiday season.
Likewise, man. Appreciate you guys.
All right.
All right.
That's
Thanks,
Zach Miller, former Jags tight end, former Chicago Bear tight end. And we'll come back with Josh Scobee, Austen Lane. But that was a lot of fun.
That was awesome,
good to
man.
catch up with Zach.
Great to hear from
and
him.
When we come back, Tuesdays from Top Golf continues. Here's I Was Hoping. Zach Miller as we continue on ESPN 690.
Yeah, and a passer on the shoulder, man, I try to play it cool. I'm right behind her in a hallway, damn, I'm enjoying the view. And a couple years later, we were trading I love you. In a backseat on a back street, do whatever come to mind. We're in a backseat on a back street, with the body on mine. Girl, I'll be lying if I said I wasn't lost in her soul.